introduce our special guest of honor, Cynthia. Right here. So we've got about, let's see, we're going to be about 15 minutes of...
15 minutes?
No, for us to have a conversation, and then we've got about 10 minutes for the audiences to ask questions that they might like to ask of you all here. I would love to maybe just start out, Cynthia and Gwen. I know this is your first time seeing the film, so one of the questions I'm going to have you answer is actually your thoughts and responses to the film, sort of your first reactions. But maybe before we do that, I actually want to ask Lukas a question. First off, I should want to say thank you so much, Lukas. I know we've had a little bit of a conversation, but I'm glad to see, I feel like everyone reacted very similarly to the way that I did when I first saw the film. For those of you who don't know, myself, I actually had run the Chinese Historical Society of New England for about 5 years in the past. I've worked on the Chinese exclusion documentary that aired on PBS, doing the Impact outreach campaign. So I feel like I've spent a lot of time watching a lot of documentaries and seeing a lot of films about Boston's Chinatown in particular, and felt like this was such a different film. Mm-hmm. And it really spoke a lot to, I think, what the film festival actually stands for in terms of the opportunity that art and storytelling can be utilized to connect people to each other, and especially to such a special place like Chinatown. I think I get a little teary still. It just really was so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I'm curious to know, actually, so a little bit about the background. I know there's been some news stories already out. We understand this piece was actually started out by the prompt from Oxford Properties. And I'm curious about the question that you were sort of given, like sort of what was the prompt, and how did you take that direction? And then I think Cynthia and Gwen, as part of your response to and your reaction, I would also love to hear if you think Lukas nailed it or not.
Oh boy. Yeah, Oxford Properties is developing on the outskirts of Chinatown, and they were aware of this history that Chinatown has had with development, and they wanted to do better. So we were commissioned to make this film something that would tell Chinatown's story. And to be completely honest, when I was approached for the project, I'd never been to Boston's Chinatown, been to Boston once. I was a complete outsider. And I just kind of dove in and started speaking to lots of people, started meeting people, having phone calls. And it became very clear to everyone on the project that the only way to do this story properly is to really tell a very unfiltered and real history of Chinatown. And also to do that from someone who's actually lived it. So not so much just talking about it or showing beautiful images, but someone who can walk through the emotions and really the specifics of it. And just starting there, our goal was really to make something that gave this voice to maybe a story that hasn't been talked about much.
Thank you. So maybe this is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Did you like the movie?
Yeah, did you like
I love the movie.
I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah, I thought it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
It was worth all the shots of the parade. The line. Lukas spent a lot of time shooting all the, was it New Year's celebrations?
Yeah, it was a New Year's celebration. He had never seen a lion dance, right?
I'd seen a lion dance, but that
You
was
told me.
that was pretty special though.
Because you like steam.
I like smoke and stuff
Yeah,
like
you
that.
like smoke.
Atmosphere. Confetti.
Gwen, do you want to maybe start a little bit, sort of like, I feel like you are kind of a little bit of the glue in the bridge here and
Thanks for saying that.
in getting the story to where we are today. Maybe if you want to actually speak a little bit about sort of, that sort of dialogue you had to have in navigating that and...
Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess Cynthia credits me for convincing her to do the documentary.
I kept saying no. He wouldn't take no for an answer.
Cynthia was a tough cookie to crack at the beginning. Continue.
Yeah, I guess first reaction to the film is that I thought it was really beautiful, and I think you achieved your purpose of telling like a story that invites people to ask more about the stories of Chinatown. I didn't really expect something like this, so pleasantly surprised.
You didn't expect it to be beautiful, Gwen?
Well, I guess like it's hard to say what I expected, but I guess something that moved me in the way that it did. And also, like, I guess when I was reflecting on filming, I learned a lot about Chinatown through Cynthia during the filming. And so I feel like that was like reliving it again when I was watching this.
Yeah, we held hands through the whole film because I didn't know what you were going to pop out.
What do you mean by that?
I didn't know what was going to be in the movie because you had so
Oh.
much footage.
Yeah.
So Cynthia, do you feel like it captured sort of the time that you spent with Lukas?
Oh, yes, beautifully and beyond. Because I told him from the beginning,
Just turn your mic, speak into the top of the mic.
from the beginning I said,
No, it's not loud enough.
I said, I hope you're not doing a victim narrative, are you? I says, I'm not, Gwen and I don't feel like, we probably were victimized, but we didn't really feel like we were victimized, and we didn't live life as if we were victims. I said, the victim story is kind of a white narrative. I don't do white narratives. Because if you're a victim, then you need a white savior, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just note too, I think many of us in this room probably know Cynthia well. As documented in the documentary, she knows a lot of people in Chinatown. But she has spent a lot of time sharing her story with others, with anyone who will ask, with educators, classrooms, everywhere. Anyone who invites her, she has been generous with her time and her gifts of storytelling. This is such an amazing piece because I feel like all those stories, Cynthia, that you have shared with me over the many years, many times as well.
I'm loquacious.
Lukas was able to capture and put it into a 17-minute documentary. And I feel like this is such a wonderful gift because this now exists for so many more people to be able to have access to your wonderful work and to your words that you've shared about Chinatown through the lens of your experience and your family, which is so much representative of Boston's history per se,
Well, my philosophy is that whoever controls the narrative controls the universe. It's a saying, but it's true. And if they say you live in the slums, they're doing you a favor by knocking your house down. And I said that to Lukas from the beginning. I said, you're not going to do one of those victim narratives. And I said, because Gwen and I thought we lived in paradise, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. And so you did a great job.
Well, tangent off of that, I think one of the most powerful lines is the one where you say that you have to tell the story so that no one tells the narrative about you.
Yeah,
Or
I
you
said
start
be
to believe
careful of the narrative they make up about you because that will become your reality. And the reason why I started Hudson Street Chronicles, I retired so I had a little more time, and the reason why I agreed to your wonderful film project is because I checked with other social justice organizations, for example, like ACDC. I said, this is being funded by a $5 billion company builds high-rises. I said, I don't want to do anything that promotes gentrification. They said to me, Cynthia, you should be the one to do this because if you don't tell the story, somebody else will, and you'll be really pissed off.
That was some smart advice.
That's exactly how I am. So I said, you're right, I'll do it, but I had to develop trust in you. I didn't know you.
Lukas,
Yeah, it took a while.
Can you actually talk about maybe that first time that you met Cynthia?
Yeah, I first met Cynthia on Zoom, and I kind of immediately knew there was something here. We'd been looking for some person to tell this story for a while, and we had gone through this long list of people that had been sent to us, and didn't come up with anything. And I found Cynthia's name again, and I started reading her writing, which was really beautiful. And I felt like, oh, there's something
My writing
here.
teacher's here.
And when I spoke with her on Zoom, it was completely unexpected. I was expecting not you.
What were you expecting?
I don't know, but
What you were
from the
expecting?
very first second, you were kind of right in my face, and
That's me.
you were like a no bullshit person from the first 10 seconds on Zoom. And there was something interesting because I also felt like this kind of story wanted someone who could grab the audience and then talk to them. And
I was a first grade teacher.
yeah.
You have to be direct, otherwise they don't get what you mean when you say, see that chair? It's calling your name.
Yeah. And also, it was such a sensitive project. I wanted someone who would keep me accountable as well. And I knew that if at any point we stepped the wrong way, Cynthia would be the first one to tell me. And but she was very hesitant, very reluctant. Just didn't know me, didn't know why we were making the film.
And why should I trust you, given the history of Chinatown?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it was kind of a challenge to convince her for a while. And so I decided to come to Chinatown, come to Boston.
You flew here.
And just meet her in person and get a tour from Cynthia and like show her that I am really invested in this. And I remember showing up. I took a red-eye flight and went straight from the airport to Great Taste in Chinatown, where I was supposed to meet Cynthia. And I was like a little intimidated because I didn't, I really wanted her to say yes, and I was really tired, and she was kind of aggressive sometimes. And
well, you're from Hollywood, so I expected Harvey Weinstein, okay? I said, so I called up my battalion.
So I show up and I'm expecting to sit down with Cynthia, and she's brought like 6 people to interrogate me.
About an architect, an urban planner. I dragged Gwen out of bed because she's still growing. And so we sat all around him, and this kid arrives, and I said, tell you what unifies us? Kanji. I'll order a joke for everybody, and I'll treat, and then they interrogated you.
Yeah, I was still waking up, and there was just all the questions at once. But it went well, but the interesting thing is that even though that was kind of an interrogation, I kind of felt welcomed from the beginning, which was really one of the through lines of my experience here. Like Cynthia gave me a big hug as if she'd been my friend for a while, and then started like grilling me. But it was a bit of both. And then we walked around Chinatown for about 10 hours after that.
I gave him a 10-hour tour for free.
Yeah. And it was a little painful because I think if I had my camera on me, we would have shot a full feature documentary that day. And she was telling me all these stories, and I met so many people. I was like, oh, it was painful to watch these beautiful stories, knowing that I wanted to make a film about this. But yeah, we went back and found the moments. But this
I brought you to my favorite rice noodle place in the basement.
Yeah, I ate so much food.
No, I said, this is Chinatown, okay? And I said, this place makes the best rice noodles, May's Steakhouse, and it's owned by a family. So the grandfather came out, and the grandfather didn't speak English. So since they don't speak English, they used hand signals. He kept going like this. It was so touching. He kept going like this to you, like you are a Chinese son, okay? And we trust you to tell our story because we don't speak English, and we can't. And you have our blessing. He kept going like this to you. The grandfather at May's Bakery. Yeah.
I love that. And then maybe, Gwen, if you want to actually just comment a little bit about that first meeting from your perspective, like what did you observe, and sort of what was the energy like, and what was the conversation after Lukas left that you had with Cynthia?
I guess you were tired, and I was also tired. But I don't remember it very well. I felt a little bit bad for Lukas because I know being grilled by Cynthia isn't comfortable.
What do you mean? You're the one that said no every time he told you to walk up and down Beach Street.
You know I didn't mean that.
No.
It sounded like a good initiation, though, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was testing you.
Yeah.
To see how tough you were, how in earnest you were about this story.
Did it work?
Yeah, I love you. You overdid it. I love you so much. I text you all the time about every little thing.
I'd love to open it up and see if anyone would like to ask a question from the audience. Oh, right here.
Hi, I'm Christina Chan, and I want to say that this film was beautiful. Figuratively, visually, it was just gorgeous, the photography, the colors, the atmosphere, and I love how it was like focused in on Cynthia's face and got all her
Oh,
expressions.
Oh, beautiful, Cynthia.
Yeah, beautiful. So I don't know if I have a question except more comments. Like,
Oh my gosh, real love letter.
it was a real love letter, and so I love the title, Love Chinatown, and I feel the love from the three of you in there.
We love each other.
Yeah. So thank you. I guess just a declaration. Thank you
so much.
She's a playwright.
So there we go. Maybe, actually, I'll turn it into a question. Maybe, Lukas, could you actually maybe comment a little bit about the title of the film?
Yeah, it's one of the first ideas before we really knew what the film was going to be was maybe this is this a love letter to Chinatown? Is this, honoring Chinatown? And going along with my desire for this to be really from people's eyes who had lived it, kind of twisted and said, oh, this is a letter from Chinatown. And hoping that the film kind of invites a conversation between, a lot of people are coming into this community. And like, if you're gonna either be a part of it, work here, or live here, you should know Chinatown's story. So this is like the basis for, if you should understand where you are. So I always saw it as this letter from the people who make up Chinatown.
And my reaction was, don't you think that's a sappy title?
But you love it now.
I love it now. I get used to things,
Yeah.
Great. Anyone else? Just raise your hand. And we've got some folks with mics on the aisles. I think right back over here.
I have a question, actually. Sorry.
Or could you stand up if you have
Oh,
a mic?
yeah, of course. So the filming process was pretty long. What is one moment that you wish made it in, or that you're surprised it didn't make it in? And then for Lukas, what was the hardest to cut out?
Oh, good question.
Well, I'll say that I'm glad the dancing scene made it in. I didn't think it would. Yeah, because I think it's a really candid moment that was really beautiful. Like that Empire Garden restaurant is just really beautiful. I'll let Cynthia answer while I try to remember.
You realize the whole film is unscripted and unrehearsed. So the dance scene was actually us walking into a restaurant after it was clearing up from the karaoke, and his assistant tricked me. I said, Cynthia, do you remember what your mother said? She said a lot of things. She was a nag. And she said, what did she say about dancing? And I said, remember what she said? As much as book learning is important, dancing is just as important. Shall we dance? So that's how Felipe got me to dance. And then he moved to the side, and then she moved in front of me. And then we did the whole dance scene. And this one ran around with his camera, always taking advantage of the moment. That's what Lukas does.
And Lukas, how about you?
It's funny we all brought that same moment up. That was a really beautiful, it's very brief in the film, and I'm glad it made it, but I'm also sad because that is a whole scene that could have lived on its own. And the coolest thing about following these two around is you never know what's going to happen. We've been filming for like 12 hours, and we just finished dinner, and I was like, all right, I'm not taking the camera out again. And then they just wander into this space and start dancing together and doing Tai Chi as there's this karaoke scene in the back. And it was cool because it was the first time I saw Gwen and Cynthia like really let loose and just, I think, be themselves in front of me. And that was a very emotional moment for me because I felt like I was living life while I was making this project. And but yeah, after that, we were like, there's so many times I'm like, okay, good night, we're going to bed. And then Cynthia's like, no, let's go walk down Knapp Street. And so many of these organic scenes just came out of me just being quiet in the corner and just following. And I think what Gwen and Cynthia bring out of each other is really beautiful. The way Cynthia, learns he doesn't have to punch everyone from Gwen's approach, and it's really cool to just be a fly on the wall.
Over here.
Hi. I wanted to ask Gwen if she could tell a little bit of her story about how her and her family ended up living on Knapp Street.
So my brother and my mom are right there. But we moved to Nav Street when I was 2. Originally, we lived in the South End, but raising 2 twins as a single mother is pretty hard. And then actually now we live on Beach Street. But how did we get there? I think to sum it up, I would say my mom chose Chinatown because of the culture and because of Chinese school and because of proximity to the Orange Line.
Your mom's great.
Mm.
Thank you. Up here, or does anyone else have the mic? Right in the front row?
I just want to. Oh, is this working? Okay. I just wanted to say this was just an amazing film, and if I had to sum it up in one word, it went deep. And living here all my life in the Boston area, there's just so much that you implemented into this film where there's so much that I never knew about. And I just want to ask Lukas, how would you say this is like one of your most difficult films you had to make, especially the fact that you've never came to Chinatown before, or I mean in Boston before, and just never really seen it?
Thank you. It was very difficult for a lot of reasons, mainly because, firstly because on that first tour with Cynthia, I saw how much beauty there was and also how much story there was and how much struggle there was, and just knowing all of that needed to be in the film was very hard for me because I think Cynthia gave me a very clear picture of everything and I knew the story that needed to be told, but it was, how do you do that in under 20 minutes? And also in a small shoot window. Originally we were going to shoot maybe 4 or 5 days, and I ended up shooting maybe 20 or 25 days. But it was hard for that reason, but it's something that just wouldn't exist if I wasn't able to immerse myself fully in it. Because I think the only way I was able to get a lot of those intimate moments, whether it's in the kitchen with one of the chefs or behind the counters at the cake shops, was just kind of living in it for a bit. And it was hard because it just required a lot of me experimenting. And I met one person and they led me to go see this, and then it was all kind of a goose hunt, and I was just shooting these intimate scenes in different corners, different apartments, different corners of Chinatown. So it was hard in that it was just very energy taxing, but I think that's the only way this kind of film can be holistic. But it was also very easy to do all that because, like I said earlier, this is a special project where I felt like I wasn't just capturing it, I was actually living it as well, and I was meeting people. And as I was filming these scenes, like that scene in the beginning where Mrs. Kuhn is giving chocolate to us behind the camera, they don't see the camera, I'm there, part of the scene. And that was very special for me, and I think that kind of welcomeness was the only way I was able to bring all that energy and just keep filming and keep exploring.
Thank you.
Great. And Lukas, you mentioned it was over 20 days of shooting. So in terms of all that footage that you now have, what are your thoughts about what happens to it now? This is me and my archivist speaking now.
We all want to see
I don't know, it's hard. I think what I'm really happy with, though, even though not every scene made it, I think if you pick apart any of the B-roll or any of the moments where you see someone who's not Cynthia or Gwen or just seems like a stranger on the street, just knowing that there is a full scene we shot with that person and we might have followed them around for 4 hours, and the men playing in the park, there's interviews with them, everything you see, there's a life behind it. And although it's painful to not see all of the footage, I'm glad that we walked away from this film not just being this is Cynthia and Gwen's story, but rather this is a glimpse into the community. And if you want to learn more, you can look deeper yourself. But in terms of the actual footage, I don't know. It's
To be
archived
determined.
well, but
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. It's still pretty new, so
Yeah.
we'll give you some time with it. I'm actually curious, for those of you who did see, I wanted to comment about sort of all the different scenes that you were able to cut and add in, even separate from Gwen and Cynthia. I just saw so much of, like, I saw relatives, friends, children, other friends of mine, like in all those different shots. So it very much felt like it represented the Chinatown that I knew, the places that I go, and all the, you know, celebrations that make it Chinatown as well. I'm curious out there in the audience, did anyone else recognize people that they knew or places that they went to? If you just raise your hand, I'd just love to see if.
Wow.
I mean,
Cute.
it speaks for itself. That's just right there. Yeah. Yeah, I think, Lukas, congratulations. Cynthia, thank you for sharing your story. And Gwen, thank you for sort of being the support and adding to be the next generation and the inspiration for what comes next for Chinatown. But I'd love to let's just give them another round of applause.
Thanks again for to the panel and the dialogue. That's all the time we have. And